Or maybe you're just depressed. Maybe you haven't gotten help for yourself because you've been afraid to show any weakness, which I'm not blaming you. You've had a rough, abusive childhood, not to mention growing up black in America. You know, you weren't allowed to have any mental health issues, which not to bring race into it. But
can you fucking stop talking about this? I want to die. Can we die? I'd like to die.
All right.
Welcome to the page. Welcome to the page. This is T Pat P Dot. Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me broke. And I'm reporting live. Well, not so much live. It was live, not anymore. But whatever. From the Black Spective page. And I just want to take a quick dive into this new movie I found called On the Count of Three. It's the directorial debut by Jerrod Carmichael. And you know what? Since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's about to be the end of the month, no lie, took so long to make this video, I wanted to touch on the movie, you know, do a little breakdown, a little character dive, you know, touch on it a little bit and see what you guys think. I mean, if you like it, let me know. If you dislike it, you know what I mean, let me know too. I need some haters, you know what I mean? Some motivators. You feel me? So let's jump on this real quick. On the Count of Three follows the story of two best friends, Val and Kevin, who are both dealing with mental health issues in their own ways, coming together to make a suicide pact. But before they do so, decide to give each other one last date to tie up some loose ends. The movie starts with both friends face to face with guns pointed at each other. When the friends count to three, the screen goes black and you hear a gunshot. The story jumps back to early in the day, where we find our main character Val sitting in bed smoking a cigarette. His phone begins to ring and he looks over at it, goes by it, looks at it ring, and leaves it unanswered. She calls one more time before he silences the phone and gets back into bed, frustrated. You see how Hollywood does us, man? Why the black man and black woman already having trouble? Next scene, we meet Kevin, who's currently residing in a psychiatric ward and trying to do his best job to convince this worker that he's fully recovered and okay to be released, even though he just attempted to kill himself 3 days prior. He clearly grows frustrated with the worker.
Fuck off! Fuck off! Oh my God!
Kevin is clearly upset, and he goes on a rant telling the worker if anybody could have helped him since he was 8 years old until now, they would have. And he disagrees about the statement of all life being precious.
Bitch.
Alright, Kevy Kev, don't get yourself canceled on Twitter. Speaking of being checked out, we now find our boy Val at work, working in the fields, shoveling an endless amount of mulch all day long. Like no one told my man the 13th Amendment never existed. Yo, my boy's tired.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
In his smoke break, Val is interrupted by one of his co-workers who tells him the boss wants to talk to him. He offers him the new floor manager position. And looking at Val, you can tell that he's totally checked out. Like I said from before, he is gone. He's feeling like how a lot of us feel, like a black body with no face, no emotion. And clearly the boss doesn't see it.
You've got a shine to you that most of those guys out there just don't have.
Y'all see this man's face? This is the face of a 5th generation overseer. Looking at Val's face, you can tell he is somewhere else. He doesn't want to be there. Sometimes those promotions come a little too late after we already feel unrecognized for such a long time. This serves as a breaking point for Val, and instead of being happy, he decides to end his life in the restroom, using his own belt to hang himself. The next solid minute, we get no dialogue, we don't hear anything. We get camera angles of above views, side views, close up. You see his feet struggling, you hear the thud of his boots hitting the ground. You see the struggle, you feel it. And all that ends when Todd, his co-worker, walks in singing, "A great day to be alive."
Funny thing, but I just gotta say, hey, I'm doing alright. it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes, and hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be just as good?
Obviously, at that moment, Val wasn't able to go through with it. So he ends up visiting Kevin at the psychiatric hospital. He lets him know that he quit his job. Val comes up with an idea to start smoking and to have the nurse come in, open the window in which they escape from.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
It's unbelievable. Look at the body. Look at that bubble butt.
Kevin, being curious, asks Val about his girlfriend, and Val lies and tells him that they broke up. Here is the first sign where you can see where Val has trouble opening up. Even on his last day, knowing that he's about to ask one of his best friends to kill him, that he can't open up and let him know what really happened between him and his girlfriend. It goes to show how broken Val is, that down to his last minute, he can't open up to someone who's his best friend, who can possibly relate to him the most, and would rather die without uttering a word about what really happened, and simultaneously ask him to help take his life. Instead of letting Kevin know what's going on, he tells Kevin to reach for a bag, which Kevin finds 2 guns, and Val tells him his plan for them both to kill each other. We're taken back to the beginning of the movie, where both friends have guns pointed at each other. They count down, and at the last moment, Kevin moves out the way while Val shoots and asks Val, can we have one more day? Before getting into the car, Val tells Kevin make sure he has his safety on, so he doesn't have an accident on his precious last day. Kevin responds, how do you do the safety? They end up at a diner where Val clearly doesn't want to be, and Kevin is approached by a bully from his past. After being traumatized by this instance, it starts reminding Kevin of his past and decides to kill his childhood psychiatrist. This is a very uncomfortable change of events for Val. To him, killing himself or helping killing his friend is an idea he can live with. No pun intended. He tries to reason with Kevin, telling him homicide isn't such a good idea, by telling him what the doctor did to him was such a long time ago. But Val knows, just as well as Kevin knows, that childhood abuse and childhood trauma has no expiration date. It can linger in the background of your life, and in Kevin's case, be totally defined by it. Val reluctantly agrees to this.
Are you in? Huh?
Huh? I gotta think of a way to get. Huh?
Under one condition: once the doctor goes, they go. Val compliments Kevin, telling him how much cooler and taller he looks with the gun on his waist. Look at Val. Look at our boy. This is quite possibly the first time he's smiled in the movie. Kevin is like a safe haven for him. As the receptionist goes to find a doctor, the 2 best friends discuss what the perception of this crime will be in the media. Val doesn't want to be lumped in with mass shooters who take out their anger out on innocent people. Kevin disagrees by saying we're only killing one monster that deserves it. Kevin thanks Val for all his efforts while they were kids to help distract them whenever he was in a dark place. I really feel like when Val was caring for Kevin when they were younger, it turned his pain from living in an abusive household to hope. I really feel like Kevin gave Val's life a meaning, and not having around him as much, not having someone to help, made Val feel like he had no purpose. They both leaned on each other. Quietly, in Val's case. The doctor isn't in, and the secretary tells him that he should be back at 6. So they make a plan to come back at 5:45 to execute their plans.
Oh my God, corny. Man, boo. Tomato, tomato, tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes.
Well, goddamn, all right then. Val figures it will do Kevin some good to get some rounds in at the shooting range. And Kevin is having the time of his life. Isn't the Second Amendment great, y'all? And guess who's back? That big old smile on Val's face. If you think about it, without the guns and suicide talk, this will make a pretty cute bromance movie. You know how much Hollywood loves an interracial love story. Val receives a phone call, and when Kevin asks him who's calling, he again dodges the question. But I know, you know, and Val already knows who it is. It's Tosh. How the fuck does he think he could dodge a black woman for a week? A pregnant black woman at that. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I got ghosted for a week, I'll be right there on Monday next to Val with a shovel in hand. Brand new employee, like, what's up? Let's talk. Kevin again questions Val on his relationship with Tosh. Let me tell you what, this is a good friend. Because believe me, after the second question with no answer, motherfucker, you on your own. Val finally decides to open up, and he tells Kevin about a ring he purchased with all his money to give to Tosh to try to give it some meaning. Not the relationship, but his life. And when he got to her door, he just quit. He figured none of it mattered and just decided to leave. Kevin is taken back by Val's next statement. It's like a big revelation, showing how much his friend is struggling.
Day is the same. Come home from work, my girl's there, she wants to talk. I got nothing new or interesting to say, so I fill the silence telling stories from my day, reliving moments I wish I hadn't lived in the first fucking place.
Seeing Val is in a dark space of his own, Kevin suggests motorbike riding at the old racetrack they worked at as teens. This is a nice callback from earlier in the doctor's office where Kevin thanked Val for taking him on bike rides to distract him from everything that was going on in his life. So that was sweet. They ride bikes. Val falls off and hurts himself, refuses to go to the hospital, and they end up at a convenience store. They're trying to hurry up and get medical supplies for Val's leg, but the cashier is counting down the register and he's telling him to hold up. I'm not going to fault the cashier because it's real. I hate when bosses want you to count down the register after each shift ends because I was stealing. Yeah, I said it. Minimum wage was like $5.15 back then. Cut me some slack.
Hold the fuck out. Let me do my job. I can help you, okay? Now I gotta start over. Alright? Fucking ramen noodle headed motherfucker.
You talking shit. Every time I come in this motherfucker, you got something to say.
What's up now, bitch?
What the fuck you doing,
shit.
nigga?
Oh, now it's some shit. Oh, yeah, now you see me, right?
Yeah.
Now you see me, right? Huh?
Shoot me, man. Just take the cash.
Huh? What? I'm not
right
robbing you. Just give me all your fucking gauzes.
What are you doing? Stop.
Put all those gauzes in a fucking bag.
All right. Hey, where the motherfucking videotape? Give me the motherfucking video. Stop. Give me the motherfucking videotape right now.
When a customer is talking, you listen, bro. It hurts to be ignored.
Nigga, come on!
Kevin finally stands up for himself. Throughout the movie, we see times where he's ignored. The bully, the cashier, his childhood doctor, and to Kevin, possibly even the psychiatric hospital worker we met early in the movie. Val finally takes Kevin's advice and decides to go see his dad, but it's not to reconcile. He's off to get $2,300 his dad stole from him. You ever try getting money back owed to you from your parents? They're gonna hit you with that speech. All that stuff I did for you when you was a baby. Yeah, you had to do it, or you were going to jail. You already know there was no way in hell Val was gonna get that $2,300 that his daddy stole from him back in the days. But there's one thing he did get from his daddy, and it's what us Haitians like to say, on sell foot calotte.
Get me a little piss, boy.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if y'all ever heard of grown man strength, but this is it. He whooped Val's ass. And there is no telling what condition he would have been left in if Kevin wasn't there with that tire iron. Stop. Val gets whatever he can from the cash register and takes the ring and returns it. They reach Tasha's house, and Kevin asks Val, can he borrow the car? He wants to get to Lake Como so he could take out some revenge on the bully from earlier. The first image we see when we get into Tasha's house is a painting on a wall, a very famous painting that a lot of you probably seen before. It's called Blue Monday. It is probably the most famous piece of art made by world-renowned artist Annie Francis Lee. The picture is a self-portrait of herself waking up on a Monday morning, tired, frustrated, before she starts her shift at the railroad. This picture has direct connections with the first scene where we meet Val in his bed smoking a cigarette with his back turned to us, frustrated, tired. She's also very famous for depicting African American life with pictures of people without faces. And I think that has a lot to do with the themes of this movie, with Kevin feeling abused, unprotected, and neglected, and Val feeling unseen. Think back to how stone cold Val's face was when he was offered the position. Think back how confused Kevin looked when his bully confronted him about stories of running them over in parking lots and not having the decency to apologize. I mean, that's just my interpretation. It could be that they were just tired, and I just wasted a minute 25 of your time babbling on about a damn painting. But back to this movie. Val tries to give Tosh a bag full of money. Excuse me, a McDonald's bag full of money. And she's not having it. She's not going to allow Val to worm his way out of this situation without facing his responsibilities. She's not even telling him that we need to keep the baby, but she's telling him to stand up and make a decision. Do you want to do this or not? Val can't come up with a response that Tosh is satisfied with, so she lets him have it.
Think you can solve all your own problems by yourself? But that ain't working for you. You always get stuck in some bullshit, and then you won't allow nobody to tell you that you stuck in some bullshit. Get some fucking help, nigga. Get a therapist or something. Go talk to someone. Stop standing in your own fucking way.
I have no doubt in my mind that Val loves Tosh. And this is why I feel like Val's character development suffers a tad bit, or at least his backstory. The story doesn't have to show Val like struggling in the ghetto, unable to pay bills, not trying to get murdered, but the struggle of being raised in an abusive home. The struggle with seeing your mother in these abusive relationships. The monotony of waking up and going to work. The fear you have when you love someone so much and you think to yourself, damn, I don't know if this is enough to make me happy. And the tight grip black men hold on to their masculinity, but the image and burden of being a man who doesn't need help seems to have finally be too much for Val. Kevin sits in the car ready to make his move, but he keeps getting interrupted by thoughts and memories of the doctor and his abuse of him as a child. He decides against murdering the bully and heads back to pick up Val.
On the way to the doctor's office, Val tells Kevin that he doesn't want to go through with the shooting anymore.
My biggest pet peeves, well, one of my biggest pet peeves in TV shows and movies are when characters have an issue with each other, and instead of being 100% honest and letting the other person know what's going on, they allow them to leave the room, go off and do whatever it is, and then come back later and say, you know, I always loved you, or you know this, or you know that.
hey, why didn't you let me know that 3 seconds ago and I wouldn't have gone on and done my stupid plan?
Kevin leaves the car before Val has time to explain why he's so apprehensive about killing the doctor. Wink! While in the elevator, the doctor enters. What a coinky-dink. He makes a comment about Kevin's gash on his forehead, and when Kevin mentions him by name, he does a double take and acts like he doesn't know who he is. As soon as Kevin pulls out the gun, the doctor mentions him by name and tries to talk him out of shooting him. But remember what I said earlier about the foreshadowing and the safety. Kevin forgets to take the safety off. The doctor hits him in the face and then takes the gun. It just so happens that this exact moment, Val comes upstairs to check on Kevin and sees that his life is potentially in danger. He aims and shoots the doctor, saving his life, at least in his mind, like Kevin did for him earlier. While in the car, Val finally tells Kevin about Tasha's pregnancy and his need to be alive and his need to be a father. And not even a few seconds later, the movie starts to get hype. Police come, and now it's a police chase, and they end up at the motorbike racetrack. Yo, black people got so much trauma. I thought when police pulled up, it was over for Lavelle. But I figured since my man got so much respect for police, he'll be alright.
Bang, bitch ass, pussy ass, fuck ass pig. Fuck all the more pussy ass police out there. I'm a nut, bitch.
The two friends ditch the yellow Jeep, grab two motorbikes, and boom, the chase begins again. Kevin falls off his bike and now hurts his leg. With nowhere to go and surrounded by police, Kevin figures, hey, this is it. It's over. He pulls out his gun thinking Val is going to do the same. Val picks up the gun to not kill Kevin, but to protect his own life. Both friends have guns pointed at each other, reminiscent to the open scene at the beginning of the movie. Val pleads for his life, says that he doesn't want to die anymore. Kevin is confused because he thinks this is what Val wants. It's his plan. At this point, Kevin truly sees that Val is not where he was at the beginning of the movie. He finally has a reason to live. He's finally in the moment and taking responsibility for what he's done. With Tosh, with the baby, and also for putting Kevin in this position. He's finally sorry. He's taking the responsibility. With nothing left to give, Kevin tells Val not to look. Val pleads with him. And with his back to Val, Kevin shoots himself. Val stands there stunned as the camera zooms out and the police are approaching him. A time jump has occurred, and we now see Val in a correctional facility surrounded by Tosh, and look who's there, his daughter. It's a Father's Day event at the prison, and then you can look at Val's face and you can tell he is probably the happiest man in this world. Although there's a lot more I can say about this movie, I don't want to waste any more time to say that, hey, if you need help, go get it. Talk to someone. Try to find some outlets. So brothers, let's do like our sisters and find someone to open up to. And if you need a therapist, go get one. Hell, even if you want one. This is T-Pat P. Dot signing off on the Black Spective page. And remember, if you see a brother in the street, give him a hug. Well, first ask him, then give him a hug. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to see what else I got cooking up. Keep your face clean out here in these streets, alright? Peace.